It's one of the largest string shops in the country, and it's tucked away right here. They make 4 different instruments. One of them is the cello, and we're going to try to give you an idea of how that comes together. Even though it takes something like 200 man-hours to put one together, we're going to make one in 6 minutes today. What do you think of that?
I think we're going to have to really book it.
All right, this is Rick, one of the co-owners. And how does this whole process begin?
Well, it begins with the rough wood. This here is a wedge from a spruce tree, and you need to resaw this into blanks about this size so that we have the ability to get these glued together and book matched so that the center line of the instrument comes.
So from the tree comes this piece and this will eventually form the front or the back of the cello.
As far as the front and back of the cello, then we'll spread the fish glue, which we use a protein glue made from fish, onto it, and it starts out looking like that. You cook it down with water, and it turns into that. And since we're short on time, I'll just pretend like I'm gluing this.
Okay, and so from this process, we get to this stage, and I see that you've drawn the outline of the front of the cello.
On it to make sure everything's going to fit in the proper place, and then we cut out the outline, and then we start the carving of the top shapes.
All right, now that is just one small component. From there, we go to the next step, and the next step would entail doing what exactly?
It would entail carving the plates. You can see David here finger planing the top and spruce plate. After the spruce plate is fully carved, it's scraped and sanded, and this is what it looks like on the outside. On the inside, you can see it's also graduated. You take out the wood. There's a base bar here, and that helps support the bridge when it's on top. And that's the spruce, and this is the maple.
Okay, so when you look at a cello, one like this right over here, obviously you have a front and you have a back.
Yes.
And each side is made from different wood?
Yes, it is. This is spruce, and this is curly maple, and only about 2% of maple trees go curly, or what some people call tiger maple. You can see the stripes here as they move back and forth. And those have been traditional woods that have been used for over 300 years to show that that they show very good sound.
Okay, now another key part of the cello or violin or viola or bass, which are all instruments you make, are the ribs or the sides.
That's the sides,
and
correct.
That is one of the coolest processes, something that I in a million years would not guess how it comes together.
Alex here will put in a rib into a
So this is, what is this, like a rib forming machine?
It's a rib bending machine. And
the wood used for the rib is what?
It's also curly maple, just like you saw for the back. It's the same type of wood.
Okay.
And
so you fit the ribs on this machine.
After that.
And then you let it sit for how long exactly?
Then you let it sit for about 30 minutes. Then a finished rib will look something.
So it comes off from there.
Absolutely.
And then you take these big forms, and you have one for all of the 4 instruments that you make.
Exactly. You put the ribs inside. Here are the blocks, and they're glued in. And this would be the finished product with the ribs. Afterward, you glue in linings. These go in here, like this, and this is what a finished set of cello ribs would look like. And
so after that's done, then you would take the front and the back, which have been carved out over here.
And you would put them together, and you would have an instrument.
Wow. But that's not the full process, and so when we come back in a little bit, we are going to showcase the second half of the cello building process, or violin, or viola, or bass. I should mention this is Anton KRUTZ, and it's his name that goes on all of the products. And so when I would buy one of your violins, I would say...
It's an Anton KRUTZ violin.
It's an Anton KRUTZ violin, and it comes right here from Merriam, Kansas. And by the way, there's a couple players in the New York Philharmonic who are using his instruments.
Amazing.
There's someone in the Boston Symphony who's using his instrument. And his father, right there, Misha, uses his instruments also. We'll be back here in a little bit, guys. Hey guys, if you have ever heard the New York Philharmonic or the Boston Symphony Orchestra or the Kansas City Symphony, you have heard the fruits of Anton KRUTZ's labors. That's because he has supplied stringed instruments to all of those wonderful orchestras, and it all starts right here. We're talking about the birth of a cello, and this baby is about halfway done.
It is.
What's next in the process?
You have the back plate that we showed you how to make, and the ribs and the top, and then clamps go onto the instruments.
So then you're going to glue that and then clasp it on.
Absolutely.
That sits for how long?
That sits for about a day, all glued up.
And then comes the neck and the scroll, which we're missing at this point.
The scroll comes out of a block of wood, just like this. You can see the bark still is on there.
That's incredible.
And you have the flames on it. You carve out the scroll.
And the scroll is carved out by hand.
The scroll is carved out by hand. There are bandsaws and power tools in the modern era, but mostly, as you see, you have to finish it off by hand.
So there's the scroll over here. This is the fretboard.
This is called the fingerboard. It's made out of ebony, which comes from Africa or India.
And then this is an extension of the scroll. Is that one piece or
That's
two?
all one piece. The maple is all one piece.
So the fingerboard and this piece are glued together, and then eventually it's affixed to the body of the cello or the violin or the viola or the bass. You make them all here.
All the instruments that we make, they're all made the same. They just get bigger from violin to bass. And so the scroll would be carved down and fit onto the body like so.
Okay, next, one of the most important parts of the process, which is the varnish.
Yes.
You were telling me that the varnish is just about as important as the wood itself.
Yes, it is. As you can see, you have red varnish that's applied, but initially, it starts out being white wood, as you see here. Then there's a ground process, which makes the wood look golden, and that improves the sound quality. And then afterwards, the varnish goes on.
Some of the most expensive violins or violas or any of the stringed instruments on the planet are the Stradivarius instruments, one of the famed string makers from Italy. Those can go for millions of dollars, and so by comparison, your violins are bargains at about $10,000. And here are representations of all of the instruments that Anton and his craftsmen make. His father, Misha, a player with the Kansas City Symphony. Let's hear the cello.